All right, folks, booyah! Coming at you live again, and hopefully we're not coming at you sideways. So, got a little bit of time here. We're going to do a few things, take a few of your questions, whatever. Wait a couple of minutes so a few of you can get the notification that we are live here at Coach Scott Abel at Facebook and Scott Abel Fitness. So, if you have any questions, you can always type them in. There are a few things I want to get to that have come across my desk this week that just infuriate me. More diet mentality madness, North American diet mentality madness. When people start making you be afraid of healthy, whole, unprocessed foods, there's something wrong with that equation. So we see these IFBB, Figure Pros or whatever, telling people watch out for the simple sugars in things like starches like yams and potatoes. That's just asking you to feed into other people's obsessions. Okay? Be careful of that. One thing, if you read my book, Understanding Metabolism and Beyond Metabolism, we know that the tubers, potatoes and yams, have the highest satiety levels of any food. Nothing else even comes close. So eating things like potatoes and yams are actually what will tell the brain that you're satisfied for longer. So getting people that are obsessed with this stuff, that any word sugar means sugar, so avoid yams because there's 5 or 6 grams of natural sugars in them, is absolutely ridiculous advice and nonsense by people who are obsessed by things they don't even understand. So we know the tubers have the highest satiety index, highest satiety full feeling provided by any food bar none. And if you were to be on a desert island starving and you could only have one food to eat the rest of your life, a potato would be that food because it provides most of the minerals, vitamins, and amino acids that you would need to support staying alive for a long period of time. So there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there that unfortunately it's not your job to be aware of, but it certainly is mine. So when I hear bull crap like this, telling people to be afraid of healthy whole foods, then I gotta say something about it, and I have no problem doing that. So it's almost time for our guy candy portion of the show. Do we have enough people on there? How many people I got on there, cameraman?
20-ish.
20-ish. I guess that's enough. If 18 of them are women, then welcome to the show. Come on over, Andy. I don't know if you've been with us in the past. If you have, you have. If you haven't, you haven't. So we're just going to shoot a couple of my favorite exercises that people ask me about, point out to you the variations in terms of what expertise really is. For right now, we are going to go to some of my innovation training principles, the majority of which say that angle and plane and range of motion within which a muscle functions determines the amount of overload it gets, which means it's more important to lift in a certain sequence of exercises than it is how much you can lift. So too many people spend too much time counting their reps and not feeling them. So what I want to do here, I'm here with super fitness model Andy Sinclair, been a client of mine for 13 years. So you're all up to date if you haven't been following our previous live Facebook posts that were coming at you sideways before. So hopefully we've corrected that mistake and we're coming at you the way we should be coming at you. So one of my favorite new exercises, again, love the dual access trainer. One of my favorite exercises is the alternating pull-ins. So everyone knows what a pull-down is, and then when I put pull-ins in people's programs, they're like, what the hell's a pull-in? And I know you like this movement too, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
So I'm going to show you 2 variations and why they matter. Andy's going to show you some alternating pull-ins for the back. So why don't we give them what they paid for, Andy, which is nothing. Take the shirt off. So you're going to see Andy also following my cycle diet, which means well-timed refeeds each and every week of whatever kind of foods and drinks you want. That's another story for another time, but it sure seems to be popular. You can go to Scott Abel Fitness /cycle diet and take the course or the book on there. So Andy's going to get in here. He's going to show you alternating pull-ins and watch the muscles in his back. So he's going to slide his feet through the pillar so he can sit straight up and down. All right, and he's alternating, so he's going to point his palms toward each other so he can pull in. All right, alternating, boom, boom. Try to get all that back in there, cameraman. Now that's ripped, folks. If his long curly hair wouldn't get in the way. So look at that. Boom. His striations have striations. I don't know if that's coming through in the live feed with the iPad because the lighting's not as great. But that's an alternating pull-in. All right, Andy? Good. Bring him up. How do you spell ripped? We spell ripped A-N-D-Y. The good thing I like about using people like Andy is he looks like this all year long. I didn't diet him for 12 weeks and then have him come in here to misrepresent what I do or how the cycle diet works or anything like that. This is real people in real time. Now, a variation on the alternating pull-in that I like with the dual axis functional trainer, look at what we got here, look at the angle of contraction. So Andy was pulling with a close angle, and that would work on back thickness. Watch this. So I'm going to increase the angle now. All right, I'm going to make the width of the pull from close in at 2 to wide out at 4. And now instead of the thickness of the back, we're going to work on the width of the back, and you'll see a difference as he does this. Watch this. So he's going to get in, and then he's going to put his palms facing each other. Look at his back there, right? So he can get sitting straight up and down. I want to watch this myself. Boom. Boom. So now he's working back width and before the thickness. Look at the striations. All right? Through the rhomboids, through the teres, trapezius 2 and 4. All right? He's got the Christmas tree. Booyah. Awesome. All right. Now just turn it up. All right, come on up. All right, put it away for a second. And just maybe, Andy, look in the camera. Tell them, what difference do you feel from the 2 to the 4 variation? I mean, obviously it's wider, but what do you feel in your back?
Definitely feel more lats, more wide lats on the wider grip.
So less of all the back and more of a isolation of the lats.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is exactly what we want. Yeah. So one more variation of this. Now I'm going to come in between the 2. All right, and he's just going to do a normal pull down. He's not going to put his palms facing each other. He's just going to do it as if he was in the gym. So go ahead, Andy, just do a few. And then he's going to have his palms facing the other wall. So just an orthodox pull down. All right. Boom. Look at that. Looks like a sack of rocks back there, or a bunch of single ladies scratching your back. Boom. Boom. Great action there. All right, perfect. All right. Awesome. All right. So we went from alternating pull-ins at 2 different angles, one to work thickness, one to work width, and then we just did a normal pull-down, not alternating. And that shows you 3 very funky variations that the functional trainer dual-axis cable machine offers. Any comments, Andy?
Yeah, I think I just like the stretch that you get off compared to, a regular pull-down machine, or
And you don't need like a $10,000 machine with a knee pad. You sit on your butt. It keeps you down. You get that full stretch because you can vary the pull down. So any questions there, cameraman?
Hey Andy, do you have muscle soreness the day after training?
Not always, no. It really just depends what rep range I'm working in. Usually, the higher the reps I work in, actually, the more sore I get. So,
cool.
Believe it or not, most people usually, they try to pound themselves with, low reps all the time, and they end up with more, sore joints than anything. But
Do you have to have that to actually build?
Have to have
the soreness?
No.
No.
Now soreness tends to dissipate after a couple of weeks on a program. Other questions coming in, or can we? Okay, just one. All right. Well, we're allowed to move on. So one of the things I also want to show you now is the difference. Some movements are designed for you to be explosive in. For instance, the bent dumbbell raise is an explosive movement, and yet you seldom see people applying it that way in the gym. So Andy's going to show you the explosive bent dumbbell raise, and then I'll show you, if you want a pumping cadence, what your alternative is, okay? And because you don't do both with this movement. If you try to do this movement slowly, you're going to risk injury, all right? So Andy's going to show you some hanging and banging. When we do shoulder work, we call it hanging and banging. So he's just going to, and you might want to stand over him for this, cameraman. So he's going to hang it, and he's going to bang it. Look at that flat back. Boom. And you think with your elbows, and you get a crunch. and it's meant to be done explosively. You get to the bottom and you think explode, 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 right? Okay, you don't do this slowly, and you think with your elbows. You try to pull back with your elbows and create a crunch effect. All right, that's good, Andy, that's good. So put them away, and now I'll show you in terms of innervation training, the alternative to the explosive nature of the bent dumbbell lateral when it's done properly has to be done that way. If you want the pumping cadence, as in pumping iron, and the efficiency it lends to, then you would switch to something like the single arm cable bent lateral. And that's just coming in, scraping the floor the same way, but this just lends to the pumping cadence. Show him, Andy. So he's going to come in, he's going to pull that out so he can get full stretch, going to bend right over it. See, and now you've got a less explosive, more pumping cadence, more rhythmical, and he can come up higher because he's not thinking with his elbows about crunching them together, so he can come up much higher and get a different full range of motion and a different emphasis of contraction. Innervation training, all about that angles of contraction that produce a certain overlap. Let's just do the other side just to even it out for them. And he reaches in to get that full stretch. But remember, a muscle will only contract as intensely as it's pre-stretched. So he gets that pre-stretch with resistance. Boom. All right, put that down. And just one final comparison. Just go back to like 5 reps on the bent lateral. So you can see the difference here on how one comes way out on the pumping cadence, and this one stays closely into the body and more of an elbow, but an explosive cadence. Just 5 or 6, Andy, just to see the difference. All right, and he explodes. Booyah. Boom. 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 All right, that's good enough. I don't want to knock you out. So, we want to continue with some other stuff we've been working on. Any questions, cameraman?
You probably did a little of this, but they want to know the proper way to do pull-throughs.
Pull-throughs. Okay, we can get to pull-throughs. Remind me of that later. We got about 20 minutes. So, one of the things we're going to do right now is what we call duck unders, and we're going to do them with and without a medicine ball sweep. So Andy has a product coming out all about building abs like that, and one of the things we shot earlier was these duck unders. Comes from the world of boxing, and then we're adding a medicine ball sweep, where you will sweep the floor and then come in almost like a chopper motion to get ultimate rotation of the torso in the bent position. But first, Andy, just show them, facing the camera, obviously. Normally he would just face the apparatus, but we're trying to impress you. So he's going to do a duck under with a wide lateral step, like a boxer would in training. So he keeps his arms up like a boxer would. Engage the core a little bit of fun factor. Boom. And then the faster you do this, the more you get out of it. Boom, all right? Now I'm going to hand him the medicine ball. He's going to hang it. And then he's going to try to sweep the floor as he ducks under, and then he's going to produce a rotational element to that. So watch this. Boom, and he reaches, boom. And he reaches, boom. And he reaches, so he's engaging the core there. Good stuff, good stuff. Bam. Bam. And believe it or not, that works the glutes and the hips as well, so it's a very kinetic chain-oriented movement. That's enough, buddy.
Hey Scott, what are your thoughts about using bands?
Well, as you can see, I've got bands. And bands are useful for certain things, but I seldom use them anymore because I got the functional trainer. And the functional trainer just can do everything bands can do. Maybe not everything, but bands are okay. The functional trainer is better, actually. So that was duck unders. Andy, any comments you want to make to everybody about that movement?
Very metabolic too, so they're great when added into a circuit. You know, keeps your heart rate up, keeps you sweating. It's a lot more fun than, you know, doing straight sit-ups or crunches. So
cool.
Yeah, gauges everything a lot more too. So
what happened to my cable? What happened to my? Where did I put this?
Where did you put that?
And we paused this program for two idiots. Oh, well, here it is. Here.
I can probably say that Heather feels that that's just the exercise she wanted to see.
Good. Oh, if Heather's my client, then I know it is. So that was for you, Heather, because I know we've been having trouble getting that to you. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to do that as well. So next we're going to do a couple more abs cores, so you can see this isn't just for show, it's also for go. So we're going to do a little great movement that most people still don't do right in the gym. I don't know why, but it is a little more complicated. So we're going to do knee to elbow crunch from plank, and we're going to do it knee to elbow crunch, and then you want to do the straight leg variation as well to show them a little harder version?
Sure.
Okay, so, no, I said harder version, folks, not harder virgin. So, yeah, harder version, okay. Slap upside the head. Okay, so Andy's going to get into position in the plank position. So watch this movement, folks. Now, first of all, focus in the full lockout push-up position. You can start moving around, cameraman. You can check out the cross striations and his triceps to support him. And he's just going to do a contralateral elbow or knee to elbow touch. Go ahead, man. Start cranking it. You get the full rotation. One of my favorite abs core movements. Boom. You go side to side. You get the core element. Little coordination involved. Bam. Bam. Okay. Just sit on your knees for a second, Andy, before we go to the harder version. So. Great movement. I don't know why some people just get in a push-up position and just bring a knee into the elbow when you can get the rotation element involved and get so much more activation. So now we're going to move to the harder version, and what's going on here is the straight leg creates longer lever arms, which makes the movement much harder. So this is the straight leg touch, contralateral touch. So watch this. So you just saw the contralateral knee to elbow touch. Now this is a straight leg. This is much harder. Boom. He gets that leg as high as he can get it. Boom. He keeps them straight. Touches with the contralateral limb. Bam. 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 All right. Boom. All right. That's good enough. And that's just some of the few things we've been playing with earlier today. Giving you sort of a peek into Andy's upcoming abs core training circuit that he's going to have coming out soon, with a little bit of my help, because I just can't shut up and I do all the talking. So
Well, I've had a lot of your help for 13 years. So.
Well, there you go. You got the brains, I got the looks. Let's make lots of money. There's an old song, folks. Okay, so tell them about that one, Andy. Again, check out the abs core region, folks. Staying tight is better than protruding, right? So anything you want to comment on those two movements?
Yeah, anything rotational. I mean, I think is amazing, especially from the plank position.
That's the key.
Yeah, you're getting a rotational movement and a crunch in there too. You're crunching your elbow into your knee, and also your hand into your foot if you're doing it the full straight-legged version. It's amazing. It's very metabolic too. It's something that maybe that mimics a lot of gymnast moves. So they have some of the best core development at any athlete, and they don't do any traditional ab stuff. So
let's show you a little fun factor, and if any of you are in a group class or teach a group class, you might want to invite this in your group class. But this is another one, tremendously effective. A lot of people will write me when I assign it to them and say, well, I don't want to do that in my gym. People will look at me. Well, who cares if people's looking at you? If a movement's ineffective, do it. But this is a movement that's not only effective, it's a lot of fun. And we call it the 360-degree lambada. And Andy's going to demonstrate it. You're basically going to sit on your butt. You're going to have your legs straight up in front of you with a slight bend to not have any lumbar strain. You're going to take your feet off the floor, and then you're going to lambada your way 360 degrees one way, and then 360 degrees the other way. And you'll see Andy, because he's like an anatomy chart, you're going to see as he does it, not just the abdominal bracing, but the intercostal involvement as well. So you can either do a dance version or almost a semi-punching version, but look what I'm doing, it gets that rotational element going. So very, very fun. And it looks like fun because it is fun. We call this the 360-degree lambada. Show him how it's done, Andy. I'll get out of the way. So he's going to sit down. He's going to get ready first. And then when he's ready, when his butt's set, he lifts his legs off the floor, and then he squirms his way 360 degrees. And if you have to kind of toe touch, then you toe touch, but you keep going, and then you reverse the motion. So he's going to go the other way now. Look at the abs working, folks. You follow him around there a little bit, cameraman, get those abs in there. All right, and he uses the arms to swing himself around, just like you would, you know, the old song from the 50s, the twist. But we call that the 360-degree lambada. It's a lot of fun. It probably looks a lot of sexy with Andy doing it, but it's a lot of fun. So a few things we thought we'd go live, throw at you today, including my little rant at the beginning there. I'm really getting tired of people buying into other so-called people's expertise, which is really just buying into their obsession with nonsense. And you know, we shouldn't be fearing food in our environment. We should be engaged in enjoying it. I mean, Andy's been on the cycle diet for how many years?
Over a decade now, so.
Over a decade. Looks like this all the time. It's not a gimmick. So I'm tired of these experts out there that want to make you afraid of food, especially natural, whole, unprocessed food. Any thoughts on that, Andy, before we go?
Not really. I mean, it's probably the most sustainable diet I've ever done. I mean, it's not really a diet. It's just, you know.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. It's just how I eat, right? So, I mean, there's no restrictions. I don't have to measure anything on cheat days. It's just.
Well, we prefer refeed days because the word cheat already produces problems in most people's noggins. But he doesn't just look good, folks. Unlike me, who has to go buy my treats, Andy made me a tray of date squares last weekend, which were good. So even at age 55, I enjoy the cycle diet and been on it 25 years, maybe longer. I don't know. You've been on it for a decade or longer. We both look pretty good for our age.
That reminds me, I got to ask you your thoughts on Vegemite.
I heard about that. I'm sorry for. I know it was Aussie Day yesterday for all my Australian followers and fans, and happy belated Aussie Day to you. But Vegemite tastes like dirt. So sorry, folks, but I don't particularly enjoy a dirt sandwich. And you might like Vegemite with the right condiments of mayo and all the rest of it, but that's some nasty stuff in my book. So
yeah, I didn't even know what it was, so I just.
Well, you just know it from the song, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just smiled and gave her a Vegemite sandwich. Yeah. Well, the reason smiled and gave a Vegemite sandwich because he smiled knowing what it's going to taste like. So joke's on you. But if that offends any of my Aussie people, just kidding, okay? But no, Vegemite doesn't really appeal to me as much as a Canadian maple donut. So, any questions there, my friend? No.
Scott, if you have enough time, they want to know a little bit more about your machine there.
The functional trainer?
Yeah, that.
Well, we call the functional trainer dual axis because it does two things, as you just saw. We can move the handles vertically, all right, but we can also move them horizontally, okay? And that gives us all kinds of options in terms of mimicking exercise machines in the gym, having slight variations in exercises that you may not have thought of before. For instance, we can do another one with Andy. If I move these a little bit differently and move them in, and now Andy, what I want you to do this time is instead of sliding your feet between the pillars, put them right on those pillars. This will move him back a little more, so you'll see a variation of the pull down where he's going to actually not just be pulling down. Yeah, you can move back, that's fine. I forgot how long your legs are. So move right back, that's fine. So he's not just going to pull down, he's going to be pulling back as well. So this just gives us a different variation. Go ahead. So it's almost like a, look at those muscles, that does never ceases to amaze me. How sinewy and cut. That's from a diet lifestyle, folks. As much as we like to talk about our refeeds
Chicken
and
wings,
everything,
nachos, beer, watching football.
this is still eating right most of the time. So that's a variation of a pull down. Go ahead, Andy, put it back. So if you're in a basic pull down machine in a gym with the pads under your knees, you don't have those kind of little variations, subtle variations that you can use. Like last week when we were live, we did the low to high and the high to low rows, and I know you really liked them as well. So very, very important variations. Now it would help, of course, if you're an expert in exercise to be able to manipulate this stuff the right way. Another one of my favorites that you can't really do in many gyms correctly is the reverse grip 2-arm tricep extension. So cameraman, if you want to come a little closer. So Andy, just show them. It's basically a 2-arm, bam. Now most people, when they're doing a tricep extension, they only have the selection of an overhand grip, or they have to do single arm because it just doesn't feel right in the gym. But with the functional trainer, Andy, we can use the 2 attachments. He's going to take an underhand grip, so a reverse grip. He's going to get open. Well, wait, you're a little taller than me, so this is another benefit of the functional trainer. Let her go for a second. See, Andy's so much taller than me. I made the adjustment vertically. Boom. One size fits all? No, but we adjust it to make it fit. So that's one thing you can't do with most equipment in the gym unless they have a functional trainer. So he's going to grab a reverse grip. He's going to have those fists, come on in here, cameraman, facing each other, and he's just right through the floor, and then a peak contraction at the bottom. Looky, looky. All right, so we see the 3 tricep heads. Well, we see 2 of them. The inside one you can't really see yet. But he's doing that with a reverse grip, and you can even do palms facing and come out from each other at the bottom. So that's something you're not going to get a lot of in a gym. All right, man, you can let that go.
Scott, could you tell us who makes it and where a person might get one?
Well, this one is just a Paramount, but if you look online and just do a search under functional trainers or dual access cable trainers, make sure you get a commercial brand because the home brands tend to be so light in weight stacks. It's really quite insulting because a lot of 80-year-old ladies could lift the stack on a lot of exercise. So you're going to pay for commercial type of weight. But if you're going to have a home gym, man, this is just, I just love these. Now, this one happens to be Paramount, as you can see. And I don't know if Paramount even makes them anymore. But it was funny to me when I got this that the list of exercises they use to market this thing is so lame. Like, it's unbelievable. If they had an expert like me marketing it, we could get away from bullcrap like lame horizontal chops and adductor things for the ladies and just real cheesy exercises that are marketed here when we can do so much more, as you see we've been doing. But you have to know how to manipulate the equipment, so that's a good thing as well. So, but yeah, if you can make the investment, yes, it's expensive, but like most things in life, get what you pay for. So, anything else on there?
Yeah, there was one suggestion that you let people know a little bit in advance about when you might come on and do this type of thing.
Well, we do let my email list. We do let, if you're at scottabelefitness.com and you opt in, then you get all posts and things like that of upcoming projects or things, products. Smarter Sculpted Physique podcast. We're going to have Andy on there soon. But sometimes we just do it impromptu. Andy and I were shooting some videos for his product earlier here in the dungeon. And once we get tired of that, you can only do so much work. I say, hey, let's go live for a while and let other people benefit from my know-how and Andy's Guy Candy effects. And so we just pop on. But we can't always guarantee we're going to do that. It depends what time of day we're shooting and things, in all seriousness, and what time of day we're shooting and stuff. So I also like the impromptu element. I don't want it to be something that people are starting to expect from me or expect from us. We've got to get Andy going in the online circles to get the attention and the credit that he deserves, spending the last 13 years sculpting a physique like this. And that's exactly what it is, folks. That's why I love being a coach, and that's why I'm not into the strength thing. It's not as sophisticated as sculpting a physique that's balanced and aesthetically pleasing. So, Andy, talk a little bit about that 13-year. I mean, they can go to your Instagram and see your before and after and the bulk up and all that. But, I mean, just the joy in sculpting, I just find it so cool for me. I love looking at human physiques that look like sculptures. It just fascinates me, and the fact that we can create it with some know-how. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, It was definitely a process. I always embrace it as a process. I never really saw it as a, as an end result. I enjoyed the process every step of the way. I had to do a big bulk up to begin with to put on enough muscle mass to actually, be able to sustain a lean physique year round. So, I mean,
and having something to sculpt.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't sculpt a pebble, right? So, I mean, I think somebody said that.
Who was that man? Who was that man? Boy, he was smart. Here's the other thing, folks, that's enviable about Andy, and that I want to use as a teaching moment. What Andy said is, one of my ableisms comes from Zen philosophy. The process is the goal, and the goal is the process. So many people write me, especially the ladies, well, I don't know how to stay in shape if I don't have a contest to compete in, if I don't have that goal to compete in. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to chase tails like that for the rest of your life? Because you're not going to get very far doing
I've never
it.
competed, so.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Andy talks about the process because he doesn't compete. So if he does a photo shoot, he's on the cycle diet, he cuts out a couple of refeed days, tightens up, boom, he's photo shoot ready all the time. That gets him more gigs. What was the name of the romance novel you were on? Do you even remember that?
Loving the Enemy. Loving the Enemy.
Loving the Enemy. He didn't write it, but if you go on Amazon or you go in your bookstore and there are romance novels and look for Loving the Enemy, you'll see Andy on the cover doing his thing. So this is the thing where you can look outside the industry. So people who think, well, who am I if I'm not a competitor, or how do I stay in shape if I don't have a contest? Those are really, really myopic and limited ways of thinking.
Yeah.
Why not aim to look good all year long than to be taking yourself from these 12-week swings of extremes, which isn't metabolically healthy anyway. So again, Andy's been following the lifestyle, at least a decade, cycle diet lifestyle. He's been doing photo shoots and stuff for 8, 9 years. It's been a decade. He's been with me for 13 years. But what I like about it is there's not like, oh, when I'm getting ready for a contest, or oh, what about? There's none of that panic. There's none of that stress. There's just the enjoyment of the lifestyle. The goal is the process, and the process is the goal. Any other questions, Brian?
Not really. Marty says he misses being in the dungeon, though.
Oh, okay. That means Mega Marty's on there. Well, Marty, I mean, the door's open. Anyone who wants to make the trip to beautiful paradise where we live in Kelowna, British Columbia, you're welcome to come into the dungeon and experience the Able Effect anytime. I'm happy that Andy's moved to the area, and now I can use and abuse him and benefit from his hard work and my coaching, and bring you guys some products in the near future. My Hard Gainer Solution product, we're turning that into a video product with Andy doing the training and the demos. Like I said, we're working on a product of Andy's own right now about abs core training, and that'll be coming to you in the near future for sure. We just have to find enough hours in the day to get this done. But in the meantime, we're sort of teaming up, going live, letting you guys know. The sad thing for consumers is they don't know what expertise is when they hear it. But I think the more often you hear it, the more it'll make sense that someone really has a handle on something inside out, upside down, forward and backward, versus someone who's pretending to, who's still learning the alphabet. So real expertise is where it's at. Real expertise learns to things like this, leads to things like this. Any other questions on diet and training before? Nope, nothing coming in. It's a slow day. The first day we were on here, we couldn't beat them away with a stick. Are we at least not coming in sideways, folks?
Looks good.
Okay, we're looking good. So, all right. So, Andy, show them what you look like with clothes on, and we'll get ready to close this out.
Maybe Andy could relate what his biggest struggles have been over the 13 years. Couple of your own hardships physique-wise. Again, Marty's checking in.
That's a good one, actually. Good
yeah,
question.
no, that is a great question. You know what? I think that lends just to having Scott as a coach, just because he coaches you through anything you're not sure of, and I never had to second guess myself. I mean, I never really had any real battles. I've always been pretty just open to everything. Like I've never had any issues with food or body image, or I've always just enjoyed sculpting you know, sculpting a physique and enjoyed the process, enjoyed the lifestyle.
I got maybe a question that and if it's too personal, don't answer it. But for someone that looks like you and still young and youthful and everything, do you find it's a struggle sometimes relationship wise, that it's hard, you know, knowing that
Yeah.
you're on covers of magazines, people are looking at you, people are going, oh wow, he's hot. I mean, and I'm not joking here, folks. Usually I'd make fun jokes about this, but I've been there myself, and I know it takes a certain kind of person to be able to handle.
Yeah, you definitely have to be, you know, secure. If the other person has to be secure, if you're in a relationship with someone.
Have you ever had it tough where they just couldn't?
Yeah,
handle
there's definitely some jealousy sometimes where it's just, you know, there's nothing. It's all professional on my part. But I mean, it's
sure.
Obviously that can be taken a different way sometimes.
Yeah, because I know when I go out for dinner with Andy, I try to use them to get free meals and desserts. So, and on that note, folks, I think we'll be signing off unless there's another question coming in. All right, well, that was a quiet episode, so I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, and we'll see you in the future. Sometimes I'll be announcing it on Scott Able Fitness if you've opted in there and get your free books. Sometimes not. We need to get Andy on Facebook, though, folks, if you think that's true, because he's only on Instagram right now. So if you want to see Andy on Facebook, please, by all means.
Real Andy Sinclair on Instagram, or you can go to realandysinclairfitness.com. That's my website. And there's actually a link to it there too. So,
but let's get him on Facebook. So if any of you want to see him on Facebook where you can interact better or differently, then please put it in the comment section, and we'll work on getting that professionally done. And we'll see you next time.